Could be PTSD, it could be trauma, it could be injury. It doesn't come out of nowhere.
It doesn't. It came out of you making bad choices.
If you want to place blame on our culture that has bred a mindset of I rather look at funny TikTok videos.
Capitalism drove that culture. We don't live in a society where people can grow and move up the ladder unless you choose to be a
Bingo.
Billionaires should not exist.
I believe that we should have an inheritance tax, a very large inheritance tax for the largest fortunes in the world. I don't think that anybody should just be given billions upon billions of dollars just because they have a freaking name. That's number one. Number two, I believe that the tax rate on the very highest should be 70% or more. And now when we're talking about progressive taxing, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, let's say, $10 million. So anything before you make that $10 million is taxed at a regular rate. Any penny you make over that $10 million. So if you make 11 million, you have $1 million that is charged at 70%, and the rest of it is charged at the normal tax rate. Okay? So if you can take your inheritance tax, you can take your wealth tax, and if you can pay your employees and you can be a good corporation and still manage to earn $1 billion, go ahead. But if you earn your $1 billion because you're not paying taxes, because you are finding every loophole in the book, or because you inherited 200, or the Ellison dude that just bought Paramount, right?
Larry Ellison's son, yeah?
Yeah, he's just a billionaire's son. That's all he is.
Okay, that's
So
not his
now
fault.
so now he has control over how much of our media intake just because he's a billionaire's son. So do I think billionaires should exist? Not really, because nobody should be able to just have that much power because of who their father was. That's what a king is. That's what a lord is.
So
that's what a noble is.
Okay, can I ask you a question? So it's not based upon being a billionaire, it's based upon you don't like people who inherited $1 billion. Because if I earn my billions, that's different than if I inherited. That's all. That's totally two different dynamics.
Once you get past that $10 million, you know what I mean? We're taxing at that 70%. If you can still earn $1 billion, you deserve it.
Just want to add something. According to the latest data from the IRS 2022, the top 1% contributed 40% of the federal income taxes collected. So what's the fair share? That's the real question. What's the fair share?
Well, there's a 15.8%. Well, the top 1%? Nope. Okay, excuse me. When they have over 30% of the entire wealth of the country.
That's going to be my point.
Yeah.
You have to look those numbers. That factoid alone doesn't really give you a big picture of what all that means. So just saying that, which I think is great when running for office, and I really respect that you did that, but those numbers don't show us exactly what that distribution means in the fallout.
Yeah, I certainly feel like billionaires should exist because, like, in every society, socialist, like capitalism, the number of billionaires keep on rising. I just think that there should be like regulations on it. I don't believe like just because like your dad ends up having $1 billion that you shouldn't get like that money, because eventually like it's the mindset that keeps like these people like wealthy. And most of the time too, when money is like passed down, like the generation like afterwards cannot like upkeep that. Like even like who is it? Like Anderson Cooper, like which family he came from, the Vanderbilts, like he doesn't even have that money like his family used to have. It's like even like the money his mom had too, like he doesn't even have that too. He has to like build his own thing. So I definitely feel like billionaires should exist. Like I definitely believe like things should be passed down to people and it should definitely just be regulated.
I do think billionaires should exist if you can get to that point, or if you're born into it, that's just the luck of the draw. The point is that I don't care if it's a trillionaire. I don't look at what somebody else is making as a way that it affects me, okay? Because I mean, I understand how capitalism
for you.
Exactly.
But
100%. Hold on, I'm done talking. All right. So, but I want to get back to a point that you were saying. But a lot of people, what type of phone does everybody have here? What type of phone do you have? What type of phone do you have? Okay. So the gentleman who created that iPhone was a billionaire before he died. His name is Steve Jobs. Okay. Most people, many people, I won't say most, they actually, their lives are predicated in terms of what on that iPhone, that laptop, or whatever is an Apple product right now, even Apple Pay. Okay. You don't think the gentleman who is the spark of this generation of wealth, whatever you want to call it, that we live in today, tech, you don't think he deserves his riches? Because even though he created a generation, multi-generational movement off of from something of his mind, why should I limit with the money, the byproduct of success that he's gotten because of that innovation? What? Hold on. But that's what saying you shouldn't be a billionaire would do. Oh no, because he changed the world, which was his goal.
And then change the lives of multiple people and have mad
That's made
employees
them
as well.
billionaires.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look what he's shooting on. Look what's in your phone. So the point is that the byproduct of that innovation, he deserves that. I'm not going to take that away from him. There's no limit on that.
And I was going
Period.
to say, with your permission, when you're through talking, I'm not, and that was when you stopped me, is I'm not going to interrupt you.
So anyway, my whole point was so my thing is we should not, what the next man is doing shouldn't be worried about what you're doing. Whatever somebody makes is what they make. That's my whole point.
And I will say, just to add to, because you're a data guy, the majority of these billionaires' wealth, they're not sitting on $1 billion cash. It's paper. It's paper. That's why Elon and Larry Ellison, but that's why Elon and Larry Ellison were going back and forth, right?
But Elon doesn't spend money because it is how he evades taxes. He takes a loan out from the bank based on the shares that he has. That loan is taxed
Tax
at
it.
something
It's
very, very low interest rate. And since that's not considered income, any money that he makes, he doesn't have to consider it income. He's just taking a loan out from the bank, and everything is in there. That's how he gets by without paying tax.
Wait, hold up. Is it legal?
Technically.
Okay, hold up. Time out. So then it's fine.
Yeah,
Why you can do it. Go do it.
But
Hold up. Stop right
Do you
there.
think it should be legal?
It's not about that. It is legal.
it is about that.
It
No,
is
it's
about
not.
that.
No, it's legal.
No.
So the point is he can
So
do it.
anything that is legal is okay, even if it's horrible.
Well, what's so horrible about it?
Well,
because you're evading taxes.
So what? I don't think anyone should pay tax. Hold up. I don't think anyone should pay tax.
How do we
I don't
fund
think
anything?
anyone should pay
How do
tax.
we fund things?
Period. Huh?
How do we have roads? How do we
What?
have schools? How do we have clean air? How do we have anything?
First of all, good question. One, well, schools are outdated. That's part of the reason why a lot of our society is going down.
education. Let's
But
not say school, education.
you have education through Steve Jobs, through your phone. You can use that as your educational tool. It's right there. I know people make hundreds of millions of dollars through that technology every day and live the lives they want to live every day because of that technology that Steve Jobs, a billionaire, created.
okay.
And just so you know, school districts are funded through property taxes.
Well, he said no taxes.
No, but I'm just saying, but
period.
the property taxes, and here's the thing, you got a billionaire who builds a huge house in a big neighborhood, and the property taxes flow to the county and to that local city.
So you're telling
and so,
me that Beverly Hills school district's money that they get from their high income earners flows to the LA school district?
well,
I don't think so.
property tax, this is how it works. Property taxes, a certain percentage goes to the city, but the bulk of it goes to the county. The county then redistributes it out through the programs. So in the county of Los Angeles, yes, LAUSD receives money from Beverly Hills property taxes.
Okay, I did not know that. That's
So, but again, coming back to just the wealth, again, and what you're talking about, most billionaires make their income through capital gains.
right, which are
Right?
taxed at a ridiculously low rate.
15 long-term, 20 short-term. That's the federal. Then there's a state in California, right?
California's high.
So they still are going to be paying over 30%, the billionaires who call California their domicile. With that said, again, like he was saying, it's legal. We can all do it. In fact, people who make $200,000 a year use those same loopholes, right? People who have a mortgage use mortgage interest deduction, so on and so forth.
You are talking about people that have money.
Well,
So that's really
Mortgage- if you don't-
excluding
if you don't own a
all the
house,
things
mortgage
that work in your
deduction
favor,
does
work in your
nothing.
favor when you actually have money.
Exactly. That's all about people.
That's the
who
only
are
way, and
rich.
that goes back to the
and
laws that have
guess
been
what?
passed.
And so my father, who grew up in South Central Los Angeles, was in a gang. My mother, who grew up in Echo Park, who was in a gang. Neither of them who went to college,
Not today,
right?
though.
That's not today.
It's not today. I believe in the
But-
70s, anybody could have rose
Okay,
above.
and
Totally.
then I look at a person who cleans my brother's office, who's an illegal immigrant, whose husband is an illegal immigrant. They work 2 jobs by day. They have a third gig they do on the weekend selling clothes at the parks. That's today. and they managed to save $150,000 in 18 months to buy a triplex in Echo Park, where they rent out 2 units and they live in the other with their 2 kids.
It's a beautiful
So,
example, but so rare. That's the thing. It's a
No,
beautiful
but it's
example.
not. It's not rare.
Why?
Hold on,
It's incredibly rare.
It's not rare because it
It's
can't be done. It's rare
unbelievably rare.
because you don't know how to utilize capitalism to make it happen.
There we go
Hold
again.
on.
There
Let
we
me
go
repeat that again.
again.
It's not.
It's your
You can
fault
do
if
it.
you're poor.
Anyone can do that.
no, it's not about your fault. It's
no,
not about
you
your
can't
fault.
access-
Not everybody can do that.
Yes, anyone can do it if you have the knowledge of how capitalism works in your favor.
No,
If
It's
you
about
have the
education.
drive,
It's about
if you
education.
have the
there is no
drive,
education.
It
either.
really comes
okay?
down to education.
And what
We
you
don't
are
have
saying is losers.
No,
my language.
no.
No, not losers lost, but it's like
You
if
know?
you have like the drive and stuff, like why can't you get more?
and
Like, why-
but you
Why
keep,
is working 40 hours a week not enough?
Because it's not based upon hours.
it's not based
upon
upon
value.
hours. That's
Hold up.
that's
It's not based upon hours. It's based
that's
on
an
value.
artificial measurement. Do you agree? Do we all agree that education, being aware to how to utilize or how to game the system or how to get the loopholes, do we agree that education is the key to that's where it starts, right?
And we all agree
Okay,
that education
and then
is
you
being dismantled.
Right. However, in the 70s, we didn't have this.
That's not an
Just
educational tool.
hold on.
That is
We
not
had,
an
how did you
educational
look
tool.
up, how did you look up
Did you just say
hold
the
on, hold
phone's
on.
not an educational tool?
It can be.
Oh
no,
my God.
I don't want you to take it wrong.
No, but
because
hold on.
You're
No,
a little
that's okay.
You're
It's okay.
you're a little overreactive.
But
of what I'm
let's
saying.
go back. This comes back to
90%
again.
of the people that are on that thing are not going to look at that as a way to research anything.
But
they're going to
see-
watch ads and they're
But
going to
see,
watch
you're coming.
TikTok.
But see, you're proving my point, and you're proving his point, which is how did we look up? And I was born in '71. How did we look up information
We're
in
educated.
the '70s? Well, how did we look up
didn't.
information?
If you
We had an
didn't-
encyclopedia.
catalogs.
Exactly.
Hard catalogs and
Exactly.
dictionary.
Okay.
Yeah.
But today you can get those same answers.
but
Hold
no one
on.
does it.
Hold on. Hold
No
on.
one does it.
Hold on. Hold
Nope.
on. This is where I'm going with
Not
it. And you're
working
going to
for
see
me
where
so
I'm going
far.
with it.
Okay.
Follow the bouncing ball. Watch
I'm
where I go
listening.
with
It's
this.
not working so far.
Listen,
I know.
it's nobody's fault that they're not taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented to them.
It absolutely is.
Oh, if you want to place blame on our culture that has bred a mindset of I rather look at funny TikTok videos.
Capitalism
than-
drove that culture. You just brought it back to you. Capitalism is the reason our culture is
You
what it
said
is
something
today.
Very interesting.
100%.
Very interesting. You said
Yes.
if you don't
Absolutely.
learn how to
Change laws and dumb down society.
system,
Correct.
right? Why do we have to game the system? Why can't we have a system that just works?
Because in any socialist society and any communist society and any hybrid society, guess what everybody is doing? And guess what everybody who's on top has done?
Yeah, right.
Gained
the
the
Chinese
system.
billionaires.
They've gained the system.
Oligarchies, autocracy, that is
Kind of.
anything that's
CCP.
Yeah.
51% ownership of any foreigner who wants to open up a business in China. It's not to maintain cultural traditions and this and that. It's for those oligarchs who run the CCP.
Exactly.
So again, in any form, it's gaming the system. 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, when Jesus walked the earth, when all of that was going on in the Middle East, it was always about surviving. Just surviving is figuring out how to game the system.
Better at gaining, we can game the system on such a broader scale now like we never could. And we can control information like we could never.
Absolutely.
And we can get into people's lives and know what they're doing on a metric that is so scary that it's overwhelming. So gaming the system is happening only for people that have the billions and trillions now.
Oh no,
Not us.
I've seen my 26-year-old daughter's friend who dropped out of UCSB after 1 year, right? Could have had a great track record, smart as a whip, decided not to finish college, went to go work for minimum wage at the W,
Yeah.
and now doesn't even check her bank account because she doesn't run out of money because she has 6 million followers on TikTok and 4 million on Instagram. And
I'm a little overwhelmed, but that goes right back to saying an influencer is part of the gaming of the system. So you're just giving me fuel on what I'm saying.
What it is it's
Being an influencer,
it's adapting.
it's helping to dumb down people. The very thing you said that people are not.
I agree. I agree.
Influencers do nothing but make you look at stupidity.
There are
That's it.
but there are influencers that educate you.
Very few. And how many people? How many followers do they have?
Oh, I know there's several millions. There's people with several million followers.
Just
who do
really
that.
broke it down. I'm sure it's in his encyclopedic book. So he would have the numbers that would show us that. Wow, there's this big gap.
Right.
Jeff Bezos could still be one of the richest men in the world and be one of the best employers in the world.
Yeah.
Instead, he chooses to pay his workers as low as possible, work them to the point where they have to pee in bottles while they're on the floor. Okay? And that's just so he can make more money.
Can I respond to that?
Why is that okay?
I didn't say it's okay. In fact, the point is that the people don't have to work for him. That's a choice.
Hold on, wait. Well, let me finish. Let me finish. That's the freedom of, it's about choice.
It is.
They don't have to work for him. They're choosing to. That's their choice. That is not socialism or capitalism. That's their choice. At the same
Need a
time,
job.
hold on, I'm not done talking. At the same time, he necessarily doesn't, that's his choice to pay people like that or treat people that way. That's his choice. That doesn't mean that's all of capitalism. That's my point. See, this is about capitalism versus socialism. That's about his individual prerogative of how he wants to do. That doesn't speak for anyone
Across the board, any
can't say because I'm not like that. I have employees that I'm not like that.
No. Across the board. You have $1 billion?
No, but I'm doing very well.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
So, Howard Schultz, Starbucks. When he started off, he was a good guy. He really was. The moment he made that $1 billion, he's a union buster. He wants,
Bezos.
just like they.
It's the only, but guess
You
what?
know,
It's the only
in unions.
Hold on. Go back to Howard Schultz.
Mhm.
Did you know that Starbucks employees get stock options?
Yes, but
Barista. Wait, I do the taxes for somebody who's a barista. He's worked there for 12 years. And that guy, over those 12 years from his stock options, has cashed in on over $100,000. So to say that McDonald's doesn't do that, Coffee Bean doesn't do that.
That's a great benefit. It's a
It
So
Get it.
so listen.
Get it.
So
But
so
is
there's
that good enough
give
benefit to,
there's give and
to
take.
not let your employees unionize?
Oh, I have my thoughts on unions. That's for another prompt.
Hey guys, my name is Mark. I'm editing the video you're watching right now. A lot of you guys don't know this, but North Star is a one-man show. I do all the casting, producing, editing, and everything for the videos. That's why it takes so long in between them, but I'm looking to ramp that up. So it would mean a lot to me if you guys could subscribe and like the video. It'll allow me to make more videos for you guys in the future. And also, if you live in Los Angeles, go to the link in the description if you want to be in the next video. I'm always casting for new ones. So let's get back to the video. Thanks for watching. Healthcare should be free for everyone.
Okay. In the U.S., per person, on average, we spend about $13,432 a year on healthcare. And for that, we have a lower life expectancy than Qatar. Canada, they spend $7,013 per person on healthcare. Now, the number one reason for that is that we have a health insurance earnings over the last year, or when I got the records, I think it was 2023 is what this is from, was $71 billion. So that's $71 billion that has been taken by a middleman who's going to decide what kind of health care you need or don't need. You have the deny, delay, depose. Okay, so number one, to pay for health insurance is very simple. We take away the Medicare tax. The company you work for stops paying your medical stuff. That goes back into your pocket. Okay, there's a portion that's taken out for a healthcare tax. It's paid by the employer. It's paid by you, very much in the same way that we do Social Security today. That means that even if you are an undocumented person, as long as you're getting a paycheck, guess what? You're paying for your healthcare. And then the second big argument against universal healthcare is, well, I don't want to pay for people who smoke cigarettes. Fair. I like to drink. I like to smoke pot every fucking day. Pardon my language, sorry. I can understand you not wanting to pay for my vices. So we put a health tax on all of those items. Processed food, sugary foods. Do whatever you want to do. Live the life that you want to live. But we live in a society, we work together. You're going to pay a little bit into your own health care when you smoke that cigarette, when you drink that beer. The idea that we put $71 billion into a middleman that tells me what kind of health care I can have. Come on.
Gentlemen.
I'm gonna let one of these two folks talk, and then I do have something with Sword.
Yeah, I definitely believe healthcare should be free, but honestly, like, you know, it's a basic right that everyone should have for healthcare. And like you said, like if people have like certain vices and stuff, like smoking, like eating too much, like et cetera, yes, like they should get like tax on that or like money taken out a little bit more. But yeah, like just like the whole system, because like health is like a basic right, you know what I mean? And even like that has to go with our food system too, because honestly, at the end of the day, we all know what we should be eating. We know we should be working out. And if we're not doing it, yeah, like, I'm even a little chunky, you know what I mean? But yeah.
You can even get a discount if you do work out. You know what I mean? You know, like at the end of the day, you stay, you get a good physical, you get a rebate.
Well, and they used to. I mean, up until 1984, you used to be able to deduct your gym membership, your health club membership.
Exactly.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, and I just think it should be just a basic right. So everyone should have the right to live a healthy lifestyle and get free health care. So I think that's, but I do agree with what you said, that I think that alcohol, sugary foods, unhealthy foods, these things should all be taxed. I don't mind paying more if I'm.
Oh yeah, just like if you decide to get like dental work, like plastic surgery, obviously you pay for that.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just talking about if you break your leg, it's not going to destroy your entire life. A procedure is going to bankrupt you. No one else in the world goes bankrupt because of medical bills.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you respond because I have a lot to say.
Okay.
I think everyone should be able to have healthcare. Okay, whether it should be free or not, I go back and forth on that. And here's why. I'm just taking America for right now. Most people are unhealthy, and it's their choice to be unhealthy based upon how they eat,
Exactly.
their lifestyle. Let's look at the lifestyle of America. I mean, these businesses, McDonald's wouldn't be in business if people were healthy. Burger King wouldn't be in business if people were healthy. They would be out of business. So people are choosing their own demise to live unhealthy and then expect to get bailed out when they actually reap the negative effects of that. That's called stupidity.
Have you ever been overseas?
What?
Have you ever been overseas?
Yes, I lived overseas.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been to France. I've been to Spain.
So
They have McDonald's. They have all that other stuff there, and those people are so freaking healthy. They walk all the time, and you know one of the reasons they're healthy. I
know a lot of Europeans who smoke a
no,
lot.
no.
I don't know about that.
So I was in France, and my knee was messed up, and I was having a hard time walking. And then the girl's just like, "Well, just go to the doctor, just get it fixed." You don't do that in America, okay? That is the rest of my life in America if I don't have health insurance. Because let's say I do get health insurance. And the health thing, that's what I said. That's why you put a tax on cigarettes, on sugary drinks, on processed food. I'm a libertarian by heart. I believe you have the right to do anything you want to do. You can eat anything you want. You can drink anything you want. You can go out in the desert and blow stuff up if you want. I believe that, okay? I believe it in my heart. Okay, I'm a country boy, but
Until it comes to taxing people, you're not a libertarian.
until it comes to taxing being obscenely rich, that the country club, we are better than you crowd. Those are the ones I want to tax, not the people who work their butts off and make money in their time.
Last thing to address, the more poor you are, the more food you eat. You can't help it. You're driven to process food. When you're poor, you're going to go get a Happy Meal.
Like, is it technically like cheaper though? Because like if
You can't even go to the store.
a week and stuff, like I go to the store, there's like really cheap fruits and stuff compared to like McDonald's. Like each meal, like even a Happy Meal, is like $6-7, and
I totally agree.
doing it throughout the.
I totally agree, but I think in the big picture of being poor, especially if you are working and you're working 2 or 3 jobs, you don't even have time to go shopping. You're just barely trying to get food in you.
Why can't you grow your own food?
There's no way. That question just blows my
Whoa,
mind.
what did you say? What'd you say?
That question blows my mind with the statement that I just made, that if you're working 2 or 3 jobs, you don't even get to get 4 hours of sleep. There's no way you can grow your own food on top of that.
I grew up growing my
That's
own
just-
food, by the way. I
Totally
I grew
appreciate
up
that. That was a
snapping
different time.
peas and pulling beans.
Right now, you can grow your own food. You can homeschool. A lot of see, we have a keep it up with the Jones Society. So a lot of people are doing, and spend these first world problems. Say, hold on, I'm not done talking. I'm not done talking. I don't keep up with the Joneses. My lifestyle is not like the way most people would expect it to be based upon the income that I make. But the point is, I've seen people live and thrive on less, and especially because we're in California, and I've seen the homeless population and see how these homeless live and all the benefits they get, and they still choose to live that way, which is partly their mental health situation. A lot of people, they're their own demise given this free will because of their lack of proper choices for them, especially given their health, whether it's that lack of exercise, whether it's not being disciplined to stick with a diet that's healthy. I see it every day. I have it in my family.
Healthy diet's expensive.
But no, it's
That's-
actually not.
It actually
In fact, you
is.
can live off fruits, vegetables, water, and no meat, and you'll be fine. And don't tell me that I can't do that. You can't do that because I've done it.
Look,
And
I'm
I
a
do it
health and
for a
fitness
month.
expert. I
And
know
I've
that
done
they
it
tell
every year out of the year.
How
So I know you can
but
do
you
that.
only do it for 1 month.
I do, yeah, with water.
You only do it for
with
1
sun.
month, though.
I can do it for more than that.
Yeah, I know
I
you
choose
that,
not
but you
to.
don't. But you don't. And why?
I said I choose not to. I just said freedom of choice.
Because nobody wants to live eating like that for a long period of time. So it just, your argument falls away really quickly.
No, my argument's about health.
with both of you.
Go ahead, go ahead. What to say?
So the prompt say, should healthcare be free for everyone? No, because those who can afford it, such as billionaires, should pay for the services. Prior to the 20s, there was no health insurance.
Health insurance didn't exist until World War II, and
Actually, health insurance first started at Baylor University.
I'm down
Right
in
after
Texas.
the Great Depression.
Right, and it was
It
what
was-
was it? That's right. You're right.
Here's what happened.
You're right. Because it was
You want to know why? Because of capitalism.
yeah. They couldn't raise prices.
No, they couldn't afford to keep the doors open because the Great Depression, people couldn't come in and pay for services. Right. So people were delaying that knee injury, that Achilles injury, this, that, the other.
For the month.
So what they did is they created a pool. You pay 50 cents per month, so on and so forth. We don't have a health care issue in this country. We have a health care services pricing issue in this country. If insurance didn't exist, when I walk into my dentist, Steve, do you have health insurance? Do you have dental insurance? No. Here's the price. Next time I go in 6 months later, hey, I got Delta Dental Premier. Here's the price. What do you think the price is when I have Delta Dental Premier versus when I don't?
Oh, it's way higher when you don't.
Exactly. To feed that $71 billion.
Exactly.
Now, if we can all really take a step back and look at the big picture, the middleman you speak of is the insurance companies. That is a capitalistic invention for profit. Prior to the 1920s, a lot of the services were free to those who couldn't afford it. In this country today, if you get shot and you don't have health insurance,
Yeah, they'll still save your life.
you're going to go to UCLA, Harbor General, or they're going to take you to the closest hospital. And as soon as they stabilize you, they're going to transfer you to county. And the taxpayers are the social safety net that we have in place today is going to pay for that. And that social safety net is Medicare, Medicaid. So we are already contributing into that. It will be insolvent by 2035, 2036, because we are paying out more than we're bringing in. Simple economics, correct. If you were to eliminate health insurance, guess what would happen?
Oh, we lose
Cedars-Sinai couldn't afford to charge what they charge. All of these hospitals and doctors and everybody couldn't charge what they charge because guess what? We couldn't afford it. Even the people making $200,000 and $300,000 a year couldn't afford it. My father just went in for blood clots, stayed one day. $30,000 hospital bill for 1 day at Hoag Hospital in Newport. They couldn't charge that. They could not charge that if there was no insurance. And because my father is 79 years old, guess who picked up that tab? Medicare. But if you remove insurance, the free market has to play out. And guess what? Will a lot of doctors, will a lot of anesthesiologists, will a lot of nurse practitioners quit the business? Yes. Yeah. But guess what will happen in a capitalistic society? There'll be somebody driven by profit who will figure out how to deliver those services cheaper to provide that service so that people can pay it. And suddenly they'll have people coming in. Haven't you seen all the extra urgent cares or the this urgent care or the that urgent care? Cash for services. So getting back to the healthcare issue, it's a pricing issue that has been artificially exasperated by the creation of insurance. You remove that insurance, they can't charge what they charge. To dial this all back from everything I said, because I know that my radical concept of removing health insurance will never happen, because here's the reality. If I did get momentum on that, I would be assassinated like the United No, this is real talk. This is real about the money or the trillions of dollars at big pharma, right? And this let's again, coming back to that sinister episode we need to film. Let's look at the vicious cycle. Why is it that in Japan, the French fries at McDonald's have far less ingredients than the ones in America? Why do we put canola oil in ketchup? Right? It's designed to make us sick. It's designed that so many people will die. So many people will get sick that big pharma, going back to those tables, right? These actuary tables, that big pharma knows now we can sell them these pharmaceuticals. Of these people who take it, so many will eventually die. The others will live, develop more symptoms that we sell them more pharmaceuticals. For instance, my father with the blood clots, again, you know what the nurse practitioner told him? I suffer from the same ones. You're going to get your vaccines? Yep, don't get COVID. Why? It's generating blood clots, right? The actual virus itself generates blood clots. So think about the vaccine. I'm Big Pharma. I get this being distributed to millions of people, causes blood clots. Now I get to sell my Eliquis blood thinner. A certain number of people are going to die. And if we all believe, if we're conspiracy theorists, or if we believe the concept that the people who were really in charge are allowing certain number of people to die because of population control, then they're okay with these things, right? Okay. So they're okay with so many people dying off. Then they're making the money off of treating the things they're giving them cause other illnesses, which they're able to treat. So again, it's this this is the ugly side of capitalism, right? This is the ugly side. So assuming that, here's what I would like to see. Let's focus on prevention. Preventative healthcare costs far less than reactionary healthcare.
Socialism hurts motivation and innovation.
Have you ever seen the movie Tucker? And it's about the car Tucker.
Yeah.
50 of those cars were built, the most innovative car ever constructed in the 50s. Unbelievable. To this day, there's still things that they use from that car that are unreal in what his engineering was. He only made 50 because he was destroyed by the big corporations. Innovation was ate up and killed. They took
I was going to say, the innovation wasn't killed.
They took all the pieces that they
They
want.
took it.
This is really tying into, do you achieve with innovation? No, I don't believe that much at all anymore. I think the innovative people, the people that are coming up with things, are swooped upon, and I really believe like starting their own company and all this really wonderful stuff, are swooped in immediately and either bought out or killed. But there are a few that make it through, but so small that it's ridiculous because the proof is really in it.
But that innovation that has been taken, stolen, right, by those at the top and then used and applied, the question I ask is, but hasn't society as a whole benefited from those innovations?
I just want to go back to, I feel like the biggest part of this discussion is about an individual achieving. So why is it okay that the guy that innovated is suddenly eating McDonald's and is fat? Because he can't afford his life anymore, but he created the thing that changed life. Look at Facebook.
Oh, no, I agree. So listen, I agree with you. Again, comes back to greed, evil, right? But at the end of the day, the whole influencer thing has been created from Gates stealing Windows from Apple, Microsoft, X amount, to the point where Steve Ballmer is able to buy the Clippers for $2 billion. But so what I'm saying is yes, I agree with exactly what you
This is all okay now. This is actually idolized.
But here's the issue.
That's
if you go back far enough, it's how it's always been. It's what Andrew Carnegie did.
Well, it goes back to the
Right.
other point that, and I understand, it goes back to my main point is that we're just bigger and better at it now. So when we want to be talking, and when I say that, what I'm saying that is far less people that are innovative and can achieve something absolutely won't, or are going to be burnt out before you even really know what's happening with them.
And I agree.
And
because,
this is why we don't live in a society where people can grow and move up the ladder unless, and this is really important, this is super important to me, unless you choose to be a dick.
Bingo.
You
Bingo.
have to become a dick to become a billionaire.
And on top of that, and I've seen it with my own kids who are Gen Zers, that they, in all of that the generation, our society has made them believe that it's easy to do it, that they can sit on the couch and they can eat Doritos and drink Mountain Dew and smoke pot at 13, but they're gonna still
Is that
make
society
it, right?
or capitalism?
No, okay.
Is that society or capitalism?
I need that answer. Hold on. I will say this. That it comes back to what he just said. Art. That is the storytelling of the worldwide. That's the worldwide storytelling that humans have allowed to infiltrate in our plays, in our music, in our TV shows, in our movies, no matter what language, no matter what country, because what the producers of that content, who are artists, figured out is tap into the basic human desire. And what do they tap into?
I don't think
Sex,
the artists are that
drugs,
smart.
and rock. Oh, I believe they're far smarter.
We in the 70s, we had sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We didn't have any of the control that we have today.
People were on cocaine. They were on heroin.
I said that we had that. We had sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's exactly what it's all about. That had nothing to do with artistry. It has everything to do with the way they channel the information. All I know, and I am totally shocked by it,
not the artist.
is that I have to be on Instagram because of the work that I do. But when I flip through Instagram, I can get lost in a 15-minute void.
Of course,
and I'm
because
like, what the hell happened to my brain?
You're proving my point of that. What is the algorithm?
Who did that though? It's not the artist that did that.
Hold on.
That is not the artist.
The algorithm existed before social media. Hold on, let me explain.
Wasn't put to
Hold
work
on,
like
let me explain.
How they focused the algorithm.
And they focused the algorithm in the 1970s in the way that the television played commercials to us.
And
in the news, that was not.
I never said they didn't. What I said is it's a bigger game.
No. What I'm saying
I said is it's bigger and it's got a greater control.
It's on steroids.
It's so out of control that we can't turn it back. It's so different than the 70s.
No, but what
the 70s, you could walk out of the room.
I agree with you.
Now you can't walk away. Why? Because my iPhone's in my pocket, and it will come get me.
Correct.
Do you know what I
Hold
mean?
on, time out. You don't have to have the iPhone in your pocket.
I absolutely do. No, I don't.
Check out.
No, dude, I just flew. I can't fly without an iPhone. I have to have a cell phone.
You can check out. What?
Yeah.
You can totally.
You are a hustler. Okay. You are somebody, you have a goal. You know what that goal is, and you work towards that goal. Am I right?
Continue. I want to hear what's ignorance here about this.
You do. Okay, but I am not like you in any capacity whatsoever. You know what I mean? So you probably always going to have nicer cars than me. You're probably always going to live in a nicer house than me. You're probably going to have a lot more money than me. But I'm still going to be happy with doing what I'm doing. And you are going to be happy doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? And that's what I think capitalism should do. It should work for us all. Where if I want to work 40 hours a week and then spend the rest of my time smoking pot and drinking, I should be able to do that.
And you can.
You know what I
No,
mean?
but you
You
can't.
can't do that right now. You can't work 40 hours a week in
But you
Los
can-
Angeles
you-
and pay for rent.
You can have to live in Los Angeles. Hold on, no. Okay, hold on.
I want to give him just this really.
Okay.
You live in the South Bay area?
Huh?
Do you live around like close by within 10 miles?
I live in Hollywood.
Okay. How old are you?
47.
47. Okay. So a friend of mine, 43, 2 kids, entrepreneur, just finished and is now started as a Gardena police officer. 3 days a week, 3 12-hour shifts. 43, 3 12-hour shifts. $84,000 a year starting salary, great benefits. If he wants to pick up overtime, if he chose to hustle and have higher aspirations and not spend the other 4 days a week drinking and smoking weed, he can make over $200,000. So you right now could take it upon yourself and get in shape to the point to become a Gardena police officer, work only 3 days a week, and $84,000 would be able to support your lifestyle and give you those other 4 days to sit around and drink and smoke weed and grow food.
Well, number one, you're probably going to get a drug test if you're going to be a cop. That's going to be the starting point. Number two, I grew up in Iowa. I have lived in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Florida, Louisiana, California, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska. All of those I've been I've residence for at least 6 months, usually at least a year. So I've been all over the place. Okay. I could move back to Iowa, and I could get paid $8.50 an hour and have,
But why settle for that?
$900.
But why settle for that?
Well, no, this is what I'm saying. I'm here because I want to be here. And the reason I have a hard time making money at this time, and it's the only reason, I'm a caretaker for my mother.
Okay.
Okay. So I have to be home every single day. I have to be there for her medicine, for her blood pressure, for all those other things.
How many hours a week do you think you put into that?
Over 30 hours a week.
Have you gone to
I
the
do.
IHS? You're getting paid?
$500 a week.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay.
Which is not
Okay.
enough.
Right.
It's not enough.
Sure.
It is not in any capacity enough. Okay. So I believe in making money. I want to make money. Okay. But I don't want to make money at the cost of somebody else. I don't want to make money so somebody else loses money. All I want is fair. I want things to be fair. I want everybody to have a shot, to everybody just to have this baseline. You're not going to go below this. You're not going to wind up homeless and on the street. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to go below this line. Oh, no, that's all I want.
I mean, some people choose to be homeless.
Choices are different.
Hold on, I'm just saying this. We're in
A
California.
lot of this is mental illness. A lot of this is addiction. Okay. And a lot of it starts from injury. You get injured, you can't get a job. You start drinking because you hurt all the time. It's the only thing that can put you to sleep. How do you get a job when, you know what I mean? So a lot of this starts from something that didn't have to do with a mental illness, a regular injury. When Reagan shut down
all those people that was in the late 60s, early 70s.
But today,
That's when he did that. So that has no effect on it today.
we still help deal with our mentally ill people. Okay. They wind up on the street.
But guess who did? Okay. And Reagan had to shut those down.
They were terrible institutions. They were.
And it was the ACLU.
Yeah.
It was the human rights activists, right?
But we didn't do anything for them. And that was the end.
And we've had both philosophical, ideological sides since then have had control, and they could have done something about it.
Well, the opiate crisis also increased the homeless population exponentially.
Absolutely. That's the main, the drugs and alcohol are the main driver of the homeless.
And what I'm saying is that the main drivers is drugs and alcohol.
Bingo.
It's
Bingo.
going to be mental illness or
And I will say
hasn't been
this.
fixed.
but is that due to capitalism?
Well, it's
No.
the fact that they
But-
can't get into.
But it's not due to capitalism.
Yes, it is. If the only purpose of capitalism is to make money, and you can't make money off of somebody who doesn't have money, that person breaks their leg. Nobody can make money off of them. Therefore, that leg doesn't get fixed. They spend the rest of their life dealing.
No, I'm talking about the drug thing. People got strung out on opioids and that.
Well, that's capitalism.
What?
That was the Sucker family trying to make as much money as they possibly could off a drug they knew was addictive.
They did create it. They most certainly created it.
That's why they had what
Yes,
$5
I guess that's
billion
my
in
point.
fines they had to.
Okay, listen. I've smoked weed in my day. Okay, that was my choice to smoke weed.
Wonderful.
I remember when the first day I ever smoked weed in my
Was it
life.
prescribed to you by a doctor?
No, it was.
Did you go to the doctor and say my knee is hurting and I don't know what to do? And he said, "Here, take this,"
No.
because that's
It
what
wasn't.
happened. Do you know how much the doctors were given to give out those medications like candy?
Oh,
I
a
mean-
lot of money.
I mean,
They made a lot of money. Had to pay back those $500,000 loans.
we're going to get these people addicted, and then we're going to sell it to them over and over and over again.
Okay. The healthcare system, I do not like. So in terms of, I don't believe in going to doctors unless it's ultimate emergency because they're actually about the capitalistic shadiness of that.
The people who run the doctors are
I
about
agree with that.
capitalistic shit.
But I'm not talking about you being prescribed the drug. I'm talking about a lot of people.
let's keep it real. Let's stop all the BS. A lot of people are choosing alcohol and drugs on their own accord. It's not because of a doctor. It's not because somebody forced you to take it. Let's stop all the BS. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. They promote all these alcohol drinks. Stop.
No. Most addiction comes from a source. Addiction doesn't just magically.
but
it could be PTSD. It could be trauma. It could be injury. It could be mental illness. There are so many different. It doesn't come out of nowhere.
It doesn't. It came out of you making bad choices.
Capitalism has lifted more people from poverty than socialism.
I am saying more so is that in America, in the American form of capitalism, what I believe made us have the ability to go from this young country to a superpower in such a short amount of time is the opportunity that allows an individual to go from rags to riches to rags to riches, right? And that's what we love in our society is we love to build up the underdog. When they get to the top, we love to tear them down. And then we love to rally on them back on a comeback, right? And what that has allowed is the opportunity to think outside the box far greater than when you're in a more confined system that is more socialist oriented.
I'd like to agree with that. We're going to get this to Jeremy.
When did we do all the big infrastructures that built this country?
Well, it depends on, there's been several times, right?
So most of it was done from 1939 through the post-war era and into the 1950s.
Deals.
So here's one of the things, there's 2 points I want to make, and one about the middle class, just 1 second. But what I'm saying with this is the rural electricity program. Ever heard of it? So what this was back in the day, it was not profitable for an electric company to go out to a farm and run electrical wires. There was no profit in that. None. Or small towns or small rural communities or any of that. So the government had to step in and pay for that to happen. That is socialism. That is the government taking over. And what that allowed was electricity to flow. That allowed those people to modernize their farms, innovate their farm, and create better things. That was the government stepping in to capitalism and saying, we have to put this money towards these people so they can share in the whole.
So I'll give you let me respond to that with 2 points. Again, that time period comes after the Roaring 20s.
We are saying the Great Depression, World War II,
but coming out
all
of
that.
Again, coming out of the Roaring 20s, where capitalism flourished, and that money that created into the tax system, the tax income, right, that allowed the government to have the funds to go.
You're
and
forgetting
subsidize
that right after the Roaring 20s is 1929, the Great Depression.
No, still, but there was
everybody is broke.
Ever.
Yeah,
People are
Poverty
unemployed.
beyond belief.
People are unemployed until the New Deal employs over 1 million people. In socialism, what did they do? They planted trees across the country to help with the dust. Sure. Yep. They built roads. They built Highway 66. They built the Hoover Dam. All of that was done after the crash, when they started to tax the hell out of the billionaires.
Again, coming back to my point, they taxed who?
The people that had not paid into the system.
The people who had the money after the crash, right? The people who had the money. Now, let me give you.
We have a crash right now. Who's going to have the money?
Well, but let me give you a modern day example of what you said.
But who's going to hoard it?
We're going to lose it. We're done. If we have a crash now, all of us are in shanty towns.
So you talked about how the government ran electricity to the rural, right? So let's use a modern day example where capitalism, where the private sector addressed that. Coming into the 90s, through the deregulation of the internet, fiber optic backbones were being built. Guess where they weren't being built? In the rural communities.
Yeah, and
however, back then, General Telegram, GTE, now Verizon, placed a bet. And they invested heavily into laying fiber into those communities,
right,
which is now the fastest growing communities for the use of those services, which has put them as number one revenue-wise delivering those services. Not government subsidized. Not government
Heard
subsidized.
about the Broadband Act? The Broadband Act right now is something that is being tried to push through Congress.
Correct.
Because a lot of those rural communities do not have the broadband access that's up to the standards that me and you enjoy today. And there's no company that's willing to put up the money for that because we're in late stage capitalism. The only thing that matters now is profit. That's it. It's not about investment. They don't care about the future.
And again, without the innovation, when they deregulated the internet and the government said, who's going to take it over? Because we don't want to support this anymore. We're building our own private mill net. It was the private sector who stepped up.
Let me ask you, how many choices you have for internet provider?
Oh, but that's the case. How many choices do I have for gasoline? How many choices do I have for a bank?
Gasoline, you actually have a decent amount of choices. There's a lot of different companies that produce gasoline. Arco is usually generally cheaper.
No, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of companies.
Shell
that
is always more expensive than Arco because Arco puts a different kind of detergent in their gas than Shell does. As does Mobil.
Shell,
other ones.
Arco, Chevron,
Right.
Mobil. And then there's the standalones.
And this moves into my point. And so what do? We are dependent upon the price fixing of those 5 oil companies. How many meat producing plants do we have? How many meat producing companies? We have 5. There are 5. 5 meat. So if anything goes wrong with one meat, it affects our entire
Not necessarily.
formula.
Now, hold on,
Formula is made by one company.
Innovation actually trumps that. See, that's the problem, is that a lot of people don't really want to innovate to solve their own problems.
But do you think that
so
the
if you innovate, you actually take out the guys who are currently monopolizing those particular
and monopolize
sectors.
them yourself?
Hold on, excuse me. You don't have to
monopolize them yourself.
You don't have to. That's a
name
choice.
one who didn't.
That's a choice. You don't have to.
I mean, we have Zuckerberg. We have.
What about Zuckerberg? He's that's Facebook.
No, he
What about him?
monopolized it by buying out all of his competitors. That's why he is embroiled in antitrust. That's why he gave Donald Trump so much damn money.
But then
So he
there
dropped
wouldn't-
the FEC investigation
There wouldn't be a
against him.
Twitter if Zuckerberg owned it all. There wouldn't be Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social. There wouldn't be all of these other social media platforms if he monopolized
But
it.
he still has the majority of the market share. How many people are on Facebook because they
that's-
feel like they can't leave Facebook?
But
You don't have to be on Facebook.
Yeah, you don't have to be.
That's a choice.
He's delivering a product that the consumer wants.
Here's the thing: is middle class. I wanted to say something about that. In the 1950s, the U.S. middle class, 1950s, 1960s, reached about 48%, maybe 55%, right around that level. And there was a memo that started to circulate around Republican circles or conservative circles. This was before the switch, so it was mainly Democrats at this time that were but it was all the old money people is basically what we're talking about. And this memo said that if the middle class reaches this level of a percentage, then that's going to encourage women to get out of the house and try and get a job. It's going to encourage minorities to stand up and demand more rights. It's going to encourage people to rebel against the system and their parents. And then you fast forward from there to 1960s, and what happens? Okay, you have the women's rights movements. You have the equal rights movement. You have the hippie movement exploding all over the world. By 1971, they had criminalized hippies and black people with drugs, period. And why? So they could slowly cut the middle class. Since then, as the top tax rate has gone down from the richest and the highest corporations, we have gone more into poverty. We've lost more of the middle class. And that is what late stage capitalism brings us. Now, does it innovate? Yes. If I have the ability to make $10 million on this idea, awesome. But that doesn't mean I can have $850 billion just so I can build rockets and...
Listen, poverty is a choice if you don't know how to utilize capitalism. See, that's the thing. There's a way that you have to be able to utilize it so it works for you.
So
hold on, let me
somebody
finish.
who
Let me
doesn't have
finish.
that
Let me
intelligence
finish.
should
Let
start.
me
You gotta
finish.
give him the
Let
floor,
me
though. You gotta
finish.
give him a little time.
Sorry, I apologize.
Okay. You have to understand how to utilize capitalism for what you actually want to get out of life, which most people don't. And you know how I know? Because I asked the average person, well, what does it cost to live the life you ultimately want to live? And I advise you to ask the average person this. You know what they're going to tell you? They don't know, or it's going to say a lot, or they're going to give you some vague number because they haven't really thought what is the actual specific number to live the ideal life they want to live. And hold on. And so what that means is that if you don't have a specific destination, guess what? You're going to end up anywhere. And that's what has happened to America. And that's partly because of the school system, because most teachers are actually broke, not just financially, but also mentally, because they don't know how to execute and teach, how to teach your child, take your child, how to build real wealth based upon what they want to do in life.
Why is life about building wealth?
Can I just step in on that? There's a couple things, but the one thing about the teachers is, all I got to say is that when you're paying a teacher $38,000, $40,000 a year, they are not, I don't know if they're broke, because I think people that are truly vested in being an educator, I adhere to educators more than anything, are not given the proper tools to do what they need to do to teach anymore. Added to that, because I do want, and I really appreciate the way that you think and what you talk about. So I got great respect for what you're saying, but hearing my answer is basically what we're looking at is a bunch of students that are being marketed to not really think anymore. And I feel like we have dismantled critical thought over the last 20 or 30 years. There's no denying that. So once you have that kind of ideology where going to school is about being a social creature in a TikTok video shot, teachers are in a spot where they can't even teach kids anymore.
I don't blame the teachers for that.
I don't either.
That comes at the school board. That comes, and that starts at the top, at the federal level with the Department of Education. It's to the state levels, Department of Education, to the local school board.
I want to understand we're talking socialism again the second you're saying that.
Correct. And that's why comes back to where I believe capitalism lifts greater, because the critical thinking, the ability
to people who get left behind.
Yes, there does need to be, and you know what?
I mean, because when I hear you talk about capitalism, you need to know what you're saying is, if I'm not an aggressive person, if I'm just a person who cares about other people and wants to spend my life taking care of people, I don't deserve that, because I don't have an idea. I don't have a
it's not
plan.
that you don't deserve.
I don't know how to do.
Who said that?
I don't know how to
Absolutely,
build wealth.
absolutely.
I mean,
It's
who
not
said
about
that?
you not deserving.
Who
In
said
fact, there are people in
No one said
capitalism.
that.
Here's what's great about our society, especially with what you just said. People have made a business out of philanthropy.
Facts.
Okay.
People
but yet
have made a
those
business.
businesses that are made out of philanthropy are now owned by private equity firms.
Actually,
that
let me
cut-
stop you there.
Not all.
I ran for Congress against Maxine Waters in the 43rd district.
Okay.
There are more local nonprofits in the 43rd district than the entire state of California
Okay.
that provide services for recidivism, that provide services for mentally ill, for drug addiction, for XYZ. Let me tell you, these people are not owned by a private equity
Are
firm.
the services functional?
So
That's an important
now
question.
that's a great
I
question,
know.
because
having them present and not
remember
really
what
doing
I prefaced.
we need
Remember
is
my
big.
preface my statement.
Yeah.
There are people who have made a business out of philanthropy. Doesn't necessarily mean that the services they're delivering are effective, but they've made a business out of being kind, out of being generous.
Is it
out
truly
of-
kindness?
Well,
a
I can't
business is not kind.
I can't judge.
I don't see
I
kindness
can't judge.
in the motivation of
I'm
business.
just laying out.
Kindness is the last thing that comes with business.
But again,
It's not true.
you can make a living. But then there are
I believe
people
that.
who are coming from the heart and do make a living and would be considered
Don't
a
really
middle
make-
class society,
Yeah.
be in middle class.
Barely make a living. If you're coming from the heart and you're really doing what's good, and when I say what's good, is actually delivering something.
But
You know,
but it's what he said though.
not providing a biscuit that's like 2 years past its due date that has nutrition in it that's already gone, which is what a profitable.
But think about what he said.
kindness
But think about what he said.
would do.
Why is
I'm
it
just
about
saying,
why is it about building
But we've
wealth?
already
Right?
have that happening. So yeah,
But think about what he said, and it's a great, and he's right. Why does it have to be about wealth? No, for this person, it's about wealth. For this person, it's about being generous. For this person, living like one of my brothers, being able to have his can of Denison's chili, his Dodger game, and his studio apartment in Lomita is, for him, that's success.
I get all that, but it doesn't have anything to do with the business aspect of it. Yes, to say like no, because that's talking about how somebody's living in their lifestyle. Now we're talking about economics. Well, choice, but see, like your capitalist orientation, which I respect, and I really want to get back to the point that in no way am I denying capitalism. I love making money. That's my thing. You know, like I really dig that, and I like the drive, and I like the competition. but I'm also a humanitarian. So there has to be some point where you can bring it together and not have to have so much money.
What is so much money? I don't know what that means. That last part, I have no idea what it means.
All I can say on that is that the drive of corporations is nonstop profit ever.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Absolutely.
That's what so much money means, and you just agreed to it. So you do know what it means.